Hi there. I'm Igor Lerochovsky, the co-founder of the Hypnosis Training Academy and the author of the world's best-selling trainings on conversational hypnosis. I want to welcome you to this special bonus training where you'll dive even deeper into conversational hypnosis techniques. Keep watching to take your skills to the next level and unlock the full potential of your subconscious mind. See you soon. And you need to keep these things in mind. Again, hypnotherapists in the room, how many already have actually worked with people? Let me ask you this. Have you noticed how clients are really good at hypnotizing you into believing that their problem is real? Have you ever noticed that sometimes a client's so good at it, you start sympathizing, going, oh my God, this is a real problem. I don't know, yeah, you get depressed with them, right? Like, what the hell are you going to do? I don't know what you're going to do about that. What would I do? Right? They've done a massive head job on you. But of course, you know that when you keep your integrity clean, and you realize that that's a story that they're telling you, they believe it, and they're emotionally attached to it, but it's a story, then you can burst through their negative hypnotic bubble with your positive love bubble, and happiness reigns. Rainbow ponies. But does that not kind of match the experience of being a hypnotherapist? People try and hypnotize you into believing that their problem is real, it's serious, and it's insurmountable. That's why they have it. Now do something about that. Right? So your primary function as a hypnotherapist, and we'll talk way more about that as we get into the hypnotherapy thing, of course, is to not believe the very thing they're telling themselves to maintain the problem, to burst through that, and to create a better reality for them that they can enter. That's our job, right? Well, the same is true of income, of money. When they tell you, I really can't afford this, and you start believing them, that's another way of maintaining the problem. I'd love to, I really would, but I don't think I can afford this. That's another mechanism that's maintaining the problem. And if you believe them, as I suspect at least one of you has done once in the past, guess what you're doing? You're doing them a massive disservice. You have failed in your capacity as a therapist. And I actually honestly mean this. Now, again, let me emphasize there's a difference between that and taking money at any cost. I'm talking about offering a valuable service when you know you can help and cutting through the bull that people try and present to you and honestly can believe sometimes and giving them hope and the inspiration to do something about that. That's what your task is. So the therapy doesn't begin when they're sitting in your chair. It begins the first moment they perceive that you exist in this world. And that could be an advert in the paper. That could be someone handing out your business card because they had a few spare. That could be you meeting someone in an elevator and having a chat with them. It could be anywhere, but that's where it begins. And if you don't have that, then you're not doing your job right because you've failed right at the first hurdle. You're kicking people out before giving them a chance. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments on what I've said so far? Because if you don't have that, then all the tools and mechanisms for getting people to sit down in your office and give you that cash, they're not really worth anything. Can we have the microphone over here for Barry?
I might be on the wrong pathway here, but shouldn't, if you endeavor in your life to have a passionate life, everything you do be profitable?
Sure, I agree with that.
Because you basically, I own two businesses, and each one of them I maintain in an arena that I can continue to travel and do the things I want. So to me, my life consists of manifesting a certain level of income to do these things, and if you can't manifest it, then you move on to something else that does or is applicable to you, positive for you, make you passionate about life in order to accomplish the things that you want to do.
I couldn't agree with you more. Seriously, I totally agree with that. And every single person in this room has the capacity to do it, by the way. It's just you're missing one thing. It's the one thing, you know how everyone tells you that school prepares you for life? As if. You spend most of your time being told what to do, told what parameters to do it in, and when there's no one there to tell you, you're just sitting there going like, where do I go now? Right? The one thing they don't tell you about is how to actually make it. How to actually make the one thing that keeps your life ticking over, which is the income to buy the food and pay the rent and buy the expensive diamond rings so your wife doesn't leave you for the gardener. You know what I mean? So I totally agree with you. Go ahead.
It would seem like you're really concerned about helping people that if you charge charge for it is almost a pre-induction. In other words, their belief that they're going to be able to be helped will be dramatically increased because they're paying for professional service.
So there's a value perception. The more expensive something is, you know, do you rather drive a Toyota or a Ferrari? Well, they could have a similar size engine. It's just the question of this one's more expensive, must be better. I know someone who likes to buy their wines just by the price on the thing. Whereas it's more expensive, it's got to be better. It's not always the case. The second point on that is not just the value perception, it's about emotional investment. Money means something to us. Have you ever tried burning a $100 bill? Anyone? Take a $100 bill out. Try it tonight. Just take a $100 bill out of your pocket and just get a match and just light it and just try and get those hands to connect. Doesn't work because that represents a certain amount of time, effort, and hard work to you. You don't burn it. Try and get a hotel pad of paper, burn it. You go, yay, fire, no problem. It's the same thing in essence. But money represents something. So when you pay money, you're committing an emotional investment in the process. And that absolutely helps what you're doing. Now, it doesn't guarantee it, but it does help.
I mean, it's sort of like the principle that things that are easily gotten are seldom appreciated.
Exactly.
Things that are hard to get are greatly valued.
Exactly. And this is, by the way, why the person who tells you that they can't afford it might be the perfect client for you. Because when they finally discover that they can, they're going to have gone through so much internal should we say, conflict or resolution things, their mind is just like, okay, I've done it now, I'm committed, this is a better bloody work now. That is the perfect mindset to do your work. The perfect mindset. So from now on, when you meet people who think they can't afford it, rub your hands and go, thank you, Lord, this is going to be so easy, just in terms of doing the work. But only if you can get them past that hurdle. Make sense?
So charging is actually part of the pre-framing or the...
I totally agree. I totally agree. Susan here had a hand up. Go ahead. Come on down, Mr. Mike.
It sounds to me as though you are promising someone. So suppose a smoker comes and says, well, I can't afford this, and then you reframe things to show them that, yes, they can afford it, because if they stop smoking, they can easily afford it. But it's promising them that they will stop smoking. And you don't have control over that. Only they have control over that.
That's true. That's actually something we'll talk more about when we get into the actual therapeutic session. And it's actually a very fine line. So the question is, are you promising them a cure, which you can't do, because you don't know. And it'd be unethical to say, I can totally cure that, but you can give them this hope. So the persuasion process isn't to say, I can fix this, and this is how much you'll save as a result of it. The process is more along the lines of, this is the kind of thing I can fix. I've done it a lot of times before, for example. And if it does, assuming that it does work, this is how much you'll be saving. Now, this is the professional fee. It's like going to a lawyer. A lawyer charges you a lot of money to keep your ass out of jail, right? But it doesn't guarantee it. As many people sitting in jail right now know. So you're like a lawyer, you're going to do your best. They're going to find someone who is at the top of their game, which you are, especially when you finish this course. You'll be at the top of your game, top of your profession. It's better that they come to you than someone else who doesn't even know, who's still afraid to do like a normal induction, let alone anything crazy, which we're going to get very crazy. So you're basically saying, I am one of the Premier League law firms, and I'm going to do what a Premier League law firm does. So if you want the best possible chance of success, we are that chance. Now, can I promise it to you? No. No one can promise anything. A doctor can't promise they'll heal you, but they'll all take your money. So it's not about promising, you're not buying a cure. You're buying a service, a professional service. And as I understand it, and I hope you have this attitude, when someone comes to you as a client, you're going to do your utmost, your damnedest, not just to get them in trance, but do something absolutely positive for them. And even if you can't get the actual cure that they're looking for example, it's a terminal illness, you might be able to do something which is still significant, an improvement. So that's part of the professional work ethic. Does that make sense to you? That's how I kind of think about it. Go ahead.
I don't know that I totally agree with what we are saying right now, because I think the question is, every business person has the same issues that are going on even with this group in selling their service.
Sure.
And most of the time, it has nothing to do whether it's $100 for a fee or $200 or $300. Truthfully, it has to do with the internal sales DNA of the person selling the service.
Yes.
They lack the ability to put on a sales cap
Yes.
and realize that I am not a therapist at this moment.
Yes.
I am a salesperson.
Yep.
And yet they do not want to accept their responsibility that they may have to literally sell their service to someone, that it should be sold simply because they say so.
Yep.
But it boils down to an internal sales DNA of how they see themselves as a
I
salesperson.
think that is a great way to look at it. Not necessarily fit everyone, but I personally do agree with that. And really, we're talking about the same thing. What we're doing right now, we'll come to you in a second if I may, Rashid. Do you want to pass the microphone over? What we're doing right now is creating the framework on which you can build a skill set to be able to do the task of selling your services. If you don't have the framework, if you don't have the mindset of why you're doing this, then you'd be like the used car salesman who knows the car is going to break down in like 2 yards out of your office. So you're just trying to get rid of it and just hope for the best. Versus the person who thinks, this is a great car. This is really going to help your family. You know, if you have an accident, your kid's going to stay alive. I believe in this car, sure. You can believe in that too. So it's understanding the value of what you've got to offer. Because if you don't do that, if you don't believe in your services and you believe in the right to charge for it correctly, which is what a salesperson is meant to do, then any sales technique in the world is just going to come across as lame or try hard or manipulative or whatever it is. But if your integrity is in the right place, if you realize you can do something positive, then putting the sales hat on is easy. Because that's what you have to do to get the job done. And let's face it, how many of you have done things that are a little bit weird just to get the job done because that's what the person needed, right? It's part of what we do. So I totally agree with you. Be able to switch in between. Let's take one more question because I want to actually get into content rather than to just the conceptual reason for being able to charge. Go ahead.
Actually, I just wanted to reiterate what you just already said. The intention is a key. If you have the intention to help the person, that's going to come across. Confucius said, take care of people and the money will come. Mm-hmm. So, this concept of, you've got to put on a sales hat. I've been told I'm one of the greatest salesperson people, and I've never sold a thing in my life. I've sold over $200,000 worth of conferences from a stage in 45 minutes, but I've never felt I've sold anything. Mm-hmm. The thing is that I actually think the same concept of the sales hat part that you were just talking about, people got to put on a sales hat. Well, just remember this. Every time you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. If you weren't a salesperson, you wouldn't be brushing your teeth. Or if you bathe, if you didn't believe in being a salesperson, you wouldn't be bathing. In other words, we're constantly selling ourselves every time we get up and we talk to somebody. So this is no different than that.
Exactly. Now, really what we're doing is we're just describing the same elephant with different parts of the body, just looking from a different angle. Can I just check in general terms, do you all kind of get the rationale of what we're doing here? Why it's okay to charge, why it's okay to burst through people's perceptional barriers, and why you really need tools to do that, and it's appropriate to use those tools in an ethical way, of course, with integrity to go. Does that kind of cover everyone's thing? It's just important because that's the framework within which what we're about to do is actually going to work.